Everybody's talking to Paul. I hear every word they're saying on my laptop, on my phone. When life seems a constant battle, I tune into Earnest Prattle. It will brighten even your darkest day.
Hello, I'm Paul Wardle, and this is Earnest Prattle, edition 12. Now, don't adjust your sets. It's definitely me. I had a bit of a fight with the beer trimmer earlier and came off second best, and came across 2 chins that I didn't realise I had before the lockdown. Not to worry, we're still on the diet, and I'm sure we'll get that off sooner or later. But I digress. Before we go on today's show, just a quick bit of housekeeping. As always, would you please be kind enough to press the subscribe button, press like, maybe leave a comment and share the video. Any of those things, that'd be absolutely awesome. So thank you very much. And a slight bit of product placement today. I just want to say a big thank you to Bethany Carter for my edition of Knockabout World, which is a fantastic Morrissey Smith's fanzine. To get your copy, just pop over to knockaboutworld.com. Now, on to today's guest. The person we'll speak to today is a smashing individual. I've known her for quite a long time. She's one of our own, a member of the Moz Army family. She's a northern celebrity from Rochdale, and she's a DJ, and obviously just an all-round nice person. And when I think of this person, namely Laura Beth, I think of happy things. She always makes me smile. So on to the show. Let's talk to the lovely Laura Beth. Hello, Laura. How are you?
I'm all right, Earnest Prattle. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Always better seeing you, Laura. Now, as we normally do with these vlogs, Laura, we usually start by introducing the guest, which is obviously your good self, but then going on to say a little bit about who you are, what you've done and what you're about. So can you give me a little insight into your life, please, Laura, if that's all right?
I certainly can. So I predominantly do radio. I started doing radio when I was about 17. So I currently work for Rosendale Radio, Tameside Radio, Reclaimed Radio. I do bits for BBC Radio Manchester, and I also do In Your Ears podcast. As well as that, I do PR and plug-in for bands. So I get bands on the radio with Pufferfish Press. And I'm also training to be a teacher. So it's all happening. Well and truly.
Do you know something, Laura? That's absolutely amazing. And the fact that you're actually trained to be a teacher on top of all of that. So is that predominantly what you wanted to do in the first place, is become a teacher? I mean, how did you get into all the radio stuff in the first place?
So radio was always the dream. I think I was about 13, 14, something like that at school. And, you know, when you come to choosing your options, I remember getting my school report, and every school report I've ever had was always, Laura's really good, but she talks too much. And it come to picking my options, and my mum went, right, Laura, you need to pack this talking on the head because it's coming up, it's important, you're going to be doing your exams soon. You know, you're not going to find yourself a job if you're talking all the time. And I said, what about radio? because I've always loved music, and I've always been, I've always loved listening to the radio and been interested and passionate about the radio. So yeah, about then I decided that's what I wanted to do. So I started to work towards it, and I got my first bit of work experience when I was 17 at well, it was back then XFM. It's obviously now Radio X with Clint Boone, the legend that is. And I got a couple of days work experience, and yeah, it's all been go since then, really. And then in the past year, so a lot of radio work is freelance, so you kind of get paid as and when. And at some point, I would like to buy a house. That's the dream, for the older person's dream at the age of 24. And I decided that because of that, I needed obviously sort of steady work, and I'd been interested in lecturing in radio, which is what I did. And so, yeah, I'm only a year's course because I've already got a degree. So a year's course, teacher training, and I'll be, well, finish in May. So I'm nearly a fully qualified teacher in May.
You really are?
And yeah, I really am.
Fantastic, Laura Beth. I don't know how you get it all in.
I don't. I just don't sleep. That seems to be what happens.
And to be fair, Laura Beth, I've been so looking forward to doing our chat together, because predominantly, to me, you're just the nicest person ever.
Oh, that's really nice of you to say. Thank you.
Well, I can remember we've obviously met each other before at the old Moz Army meet, and I think I've also bumped into you at is it a Viva Morrissey gig?
It was. There's a theme coming up here, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it was with your fella with the Viva Morrissey gig.
I think I might have been. Yeah, that seems likely.
Well, let's be fair. With all due respect, I don't upset him, but because of your young looks, when I first saw you together in the dark, I thought it was your dad.
Yes, we do have a bit of an age gap.
But no, you do make a fantastic couple, and you've had your was it anniversary quite recently?
Yeah, 2 years in March it was. So
congratulations for that.
Thank you so much.
I mean, one of my endearing memories of the first time I met you at the Moz Army meet was me and you sat at the side singing at the top of our lungs to Morrissey and Smith's tunes. So
that's definitely a memory I've got of you, and yeah, I'm missing the Star and Garter. I'm definitely missing the Moz Army meets and the Smiths disco. I can't wait to be singing at the top of my lungs again.
Well, it's been moved on for 2 years now. I think, fingers crossed, we'll get to go next year, Laura. But I'm missing the old crowd as well, to be fair. And it's
too far away.
It's like our extended family, isn't it, in a way?
It is. One thing that I've always said, because, we've all heard them, the controversies, people falling out of love with Moz, people falling in love with Moz. The thing I've said all along is, if it wasn't for Morrissey, I wouldn't have made such wonderful friends. I wouldn't have found this group of people that, love me for who I am, and I love them for who they are. And I've never had a single bad moment with any of the Moz crew or any of the lot. But it's been great all along. So I'm really grateful for Morrissey, not just for his music, but for, I suppose, the extended community that I've been brought into as a result of his music.
Right.
And I'll always defend him just for that.
Me too. And didn't you? Was it you that won the? Was it the 6 foot cardboard Morrissey?
I do. I have 2 of them. One of them was bought for me as a birthday. I think it was my 21st birthday. One of them got bought as a birthday present, and then one of them I won at the Moz Army meet. I never win anything, and then suddenly my raffle ticket got picked out of the hat for the grand prize, which is the Morrissey cutout. So I've got 2 of them now. You've
got 2 Morrissey cutouts?
I've got 2 Morrissey cutouts and a knitted Morrissey.
At least that's quite handy during the pandemic. You don't want to have a party at home. You've got 2 guests there straight away before you even start.
That's
and
it.
It's also good, it's good for deterring burglars by putting it in the window.
That's it. I was going to say, if it ever looks like we're going to be burgled, can do a Home Alone, can't we? Attach them to a toy train set and spin them around the room.
How did you get him home at the time? Was it on a train back to Rochdale?
I think it was a taxi. I think I safely took him back in a taxi. That was
Not
I think it was. It was a while ago now, but I'm sure it was. I don't think I took him on a train. Bless him.
I can remember another year at the Moz Army meet, going through the Manchester train station on the following morning, and the lucky winners of the cutout Morrissey were actually going for the train station with the full-size cardboard cutout. So
I'm looking forward to the year that one of the because obviously there's a lot of foreign Morrissey fans who come to the Moz Army meet up from Sweden, Germany.
yeah.
I can't wait till one of them win it and they have to take him on a plane.
So I heard you then. We mentioned Rochdale, because is it Rochdale where you're living at the moment, Laura? Or?
Yes, so I'm Rochdale born and bred.
Right.
Born there in 1996, and I sporadically sort of leave and come back, and it seems to happen. But yeah, it's one of them that growing up, I hated it because I think you just do. But I'll always defend it, and I'm very proud to be from there.
Well, that brings me on to the next question. Am I right in saying that you are or done some presenting at Rochdale FC?
So I'm the standing match announcer. So Dave Sweetmore, who I also do radio with, he's the match announcer at Rochdale Football Club. And a couple of years ago, somebody who decided to do a person who was instead, looking for somebody new, and Dave said, there's only one person that I can think of, the person that I work with on the radio and have done for 4 years or whatever it was at that point. He said, Laura, she knows how I work. She can get into my mind. She can do this with her eyes closed, kind of thing. So they recommended me. And then, they gave it to me, and it was all quite exciting at the time because I was one of the first women to ever do it. So it caused a bit of media attention.
Well, to be fair, with, the way things are these days, whether you're male or female doing that particular job, it shouldn't make a difference. It's the same as the Harrogate game against Port Vale the other day. It was the first time it was refereed by a female referee. And that's something that I want to, to say that needs to happen more often. If a person is fully qualified to do the job, it doesn't really matter what the sex is, does it, to be fair? And
I completely agree with you. It was strange considering the type of job it is. Obviously, it's not like I was putting on the strip and then starting playing on the field with all the lads, was it? It was
well, no.
It's a job that I suppose anybody can do, and obviously women can play football as well. And it was quite surprising, really, especially at the time. Considering when was it, 2019, and I got quite a lot of abuse for it. You'd be very surprised.
Well, there is that as well, but I'm sure you give as good as you get, Laura.
Absolutely.
The worst thing about doing that job, did you have to report the scores?
You do. So you have to say. So when they score, you have to say the time. So you have to say, like 32 minutes in, goal to whoever the goal's to. So goal to Rochdale. That's we can always dream. Goal to Rochdale, and then you have to say.
You don't say that very often, though, do you? To be fair.
Not this season, anyway. But we're hoping we'll get back up there again. But goal to Rochdale, and then you have to say who scored it, and that's the tricky part because you can't always see who scored it, and there's always a bit of a commotion in the press box of who scored it, because obviously you've got all the commentators in there as well, and they're obviously also just as interested in who scored it. So sometimes it's a bit, who scored that? Who was it? And then you have to find out. But I got warned straight away, and I've never done it, thankfully. But Dave said to me, make sure, he said, even if you announce it 5 minutes after it's happened, make sure you've got the right person, because people just go mad if you announce the wrong person scored it. So
I
I've
can
never done
imagine.
it. Not yet, anyway.
I'm sure you do an absolutely fantastic job. Perhaps one day I can come and have a look. But the team I support, Notts County, they're a lot lower than Rochdale, so we're in the realms of the National League at the moment.
If you're ever up in Rochdale, you should definitely come to a game. I'll get you in, and you can
I'd love to come to a
see me in
game.
action.
That'd be fantastic, Laura. I mean, as it stands at the moment, when I can get out, which has not been a lot, I tend to go down to the local team, which is Baseford United. I think they're in the Northern Premier League. But I'd love to come to a game, Laura, especially if you're announcing.
Oh,
So
it's nice to go see little matches as well. Like you were saying, going and seeing the local team. It's nice because I don't know. It's more of a community, isn't there? A community atmosphere with your local
well, the
team.
thing is, Laura, more or less, the last time I went out for a drink was my birthday last year, 2020, and I was actually at Baseford United, and it was my 50th. And at half time, the chairman bought me out a birthday cake, and they had a bit of a presentation. So, talk about personal touch. Obviously, they obviously know me quite well down there, so I was quite touched that they went to that effort and they made a bit of a fuss of me. So that's another thing at a local club. It's a family atmosphere, and they all know each other, and everybody looks after each other.
But I completely agree, and it's like that at Rochdale. It's a very community-focused club. They do so much for the community. In fact, when last year, when obviously they couldn't play matches, when everything got closed completely, all the staff started volunteering, taking food to like vulnerable people and stuff like that. So it's a very community-focused club. So I'm proud to be part of it.
That's fantastic, Laura. I mean, I'll just have a quick look through a bit of your bio as well. You're a bit of a budding actress at the same time, aren't you, Laura?
I was when I was when I was younger. I did a lot of drama, and for a long time, I wanted to be an actress. I thought that's what I wanted to do because I loved acting. I loved being in the plays because I love musicals. I love going to the theatre. What put me off it was it's a bit of a people like to stab each other in the back a lot. If they want a part that you also want to go for,
Right.
they'll happily stop being friend. And I can't live like that. I'm not that kind of person. So it upset me a lot. I ended up getting really upset all the time by it. So I just thought, it's not for me.
Story. See, I was thinking of a buzz phrase for our chat, and it was always a word like happiness came up. So that's the type of thing I think of when I think of you, Laura. So I'd never see you as somebody underhanded and a backstabbing type of person, because you're too nice for that. But in relation to acting, didn't you have a wee part in England Is Mine?
I did, yes. So what year must have been? I was at university at the time, and somebody I know who's also a big Smiths and Morrissey fan said, "Oh, this is being filmed in Stretford," and I said, "Oh, that's really good. Imagine if Morrissey turns up and stuff like that." And they said, "Oh yeah," they said, "They're doing applications to be an extra in it. You should apply." And I thought, nothing to lose, just put an application in, see what happens. Never in a million years thought that they'd choose me to be in it. So yeah, I was an extra. So if you've seen the film, I'm assuming you definitely have.
Oh, I've definitely seen the film, yeah.
I'm in two parts. I'm in the crowd when Morrissey plays his first gig. So if you remember that part, I'm dressed as a punk in the crowd.
Right.
And then the second bit I'm in, there's a part where he's walking through like a new romantic club and he's got his headphones on because he doesn't want to hear the music. I'm dressed as a new romantic in that club, dancing around.
Well, they made the best use of you then, Laura. I'm going to re-watch the film now so I can spot you.
Honestly, put some matchsticks in and don't blink because you will miss me if you blink. But I was there. I can proudly say that I was there.
Did you get to watch that wee film the other week, by the way?
I did. Thank you so much. Yeah, I watched it the day after you sent it to me. Very exciting times. sounds like I'm promoting him here. Now I got a Google Chromecast, and it's the most exciting piece of technology that I've ever come across. Plug it into your telly, and anything you've got on your computer or your phone, you can cast it to your telly and watch it big. So
Just
that's
for
what
the record, I don't do product placement, but there's one for Google Chromecast.
it is. So go on, buy one. No, do what you want. Don't listen to me. But I liked the film because of all the Morrissey and Smiths references, and I think it was a good film. The only thing that got me a bit was how they tried to shoehorn in references in every single sentence. I was a bit like, oh,
just the record, everyone's watching. That's the new Shoplifters of the World film.
Yes,
which is the story of I think it's a Denver teenager who held up a radio station overnight and made him play the Smiths for the whole of the show. When the Smiths broke up in 1987. I mean, is that actually a true story, or is it been?
I don't know, because when I've been looking into it, and a lot of like the Smiths fan clubs and stuff on Facebook, they seem to think it's been made up for the film, and I really liked that part of it. I thought that was really good, and I liked the character development between him and the rocker, the DJ that played, because it was sort of like
Laura, I've got an idea.
Oh, go on.
Why don't I dress up as a robber or like a crook? Well, with normal clothes then, really. And then break in when you're doing one of your radio shows and say I'm holding you up and make you play the Smiths for 2 hours.
To be honest, you wouldn't need to point a gun at me.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Anyway, you could just ask me and I'll do it. So
that probably wouldn't work then too much, would it, to be honest?
Yeah, it wouldn't work, that film with me.
Talking of taking over radio shows, am I right in saying that you once stood in for Mark Riley?
Yeah, I sat in with him. So when I was at university, there was an opportunity that came up to go and just sit in and sort of watch what he does. This was when I was quite new to the whole thing, when I was probably about 19. So yeah, I went to Six Music and got to sit in on the show, saw how it all happened, got to press a few buttons.
And that's the Mark Riley of the Mark and Lord fame.
That's the very same one, yes. So I got to meet him, have a chat about his radio career to him, have a little look around, and yeah, it was a nice day. It was interesting.
Mark and Lord, that was the best radio show ever. In one of my previous jobs, I was actually a warehouse manager, but when Mark and Lord came on in the afternoon, the whole operation came to a standstill. We all sat around the radio to listen to, those little phone-ins they did. These different characters rang in, and they always had double barrel names. Those things were absolutely hilarious, and I've still got some of them on CD, and I listen to them when I'm feeling a bit, down. I want a bit of a laugh. They were absolutely fantastic. I mean, you couldn't do it now, Laura.
There's a lot of red tape around that kind of thing these days.
But honestly, those two were brilliant.
They really were, and they've always been sort of heroes of mine. So it was a bit of a starstruck, exciting moment when I got to meet Mark Riley.
I'm a bit jealous.
My next hope is Mark Radcliffe, because I've always loved his commentary on Top of the Pops. So
yeah. Well, when they was on Top of the Pops, apparently they got told they had best faces of radio.
Yes, they did. And I think, because they had the radio on breakfast show, didn't they, obviously? And,
that's right, yeah.
I think something like, I don't know, I can't remember, because they didn't spend very long doing it. It was only a few years, wasn't it? And usually Radio 1 DJs are in for years and years and years at a time. So it was something, I can't remember what got said to them, but it was something like, you're more Radio 2 or something, which is pretty offensive.
Yeah. some of the phrases I've picked up I still use now, like the word cobblers and blimey Charlie. That comes from Mark and Lord, basically. It's like my talk with Alistair Morrison on his Time to Pause project. It's called Talking Cobblers. And that comes from the Mark and Lard reference, basically, because that's mostly what I do most of the time, Laura, is I do talk cobblers. But it's nice cobblers. It's meant, I mean well.
It's better to be talking cobblers about nice things than to be talking seriously about not nice things.
Correct. So, what I've asked you to do as well, Laura, which is probably quite unfair, I've asked you to have a think for me, and as obviously there's a bit of a Morrissey Smith theme running through our chat, which, to be fair, there had to be due to our history together, and there's always been that, reference to Morrissey. So I've asked you to have a wee think, and a bit like the old chart show on a Sunday, where the DJ at the time counted down the top 5 charts down to number 1. I've asked you to have a wee think and pick your top 5 Morrissey and Smith tunes. Now this is really relevant compared to the modern charts, which isn't relevant at all, because if you gave me the number 5 in the charts this Sunday, I probably wouldn't have heard of them, and I probably wouldn't have heard of any of the top 5, to be fair, but this is very relevant to us. So can you bring in your number 5 Morrissey and Smith tune for me, please, Laura?
Ooh, it was difficult, this. It's like asking a parent to pick their favourite child, but after a week of no sleep, my number 5 is I Don't Mind If You Forget Me, Morrissey.
Absolutely fantastic choice. And the thing is, I'm going to put you on the spot again now, Laura, and say, I don't mind if you forget me, Laura. Why did you come to that choice?
I've always liked the lyrics of that. The idea, because he's one obviously brilliant thing about Morrissey, he's the way that he can be quite self-deprecating, and he does that extremely well in this song. Having learnt my lesson, I never left an impression on anyone. Well, obviously that's wrong, Morrissey, because you've left an impression on a lot of people. But I've always felt like that too. You do come across people that don't like you. Not everyone does, and it doesn't matter how pleasant you are. Some people are just never going to like you, and whatever. That's how you got to see it, and that's it. Having learnt my lesson, I never left an impression on anyone. So I kind of see that song as, if someone doesn't like you, if they don't want to be around you, if they don't see eye to eye with you, that's just what happens sometimes, and we've just got to carry on.
And I've been guilty of posting that on my Facebook before after a breakup, Laura.
It is a good brand.
And it's a case of, I'll just leave the song there, the YouTube link. I know what it means, and all my Morrissey and Smith friends will know what it means, but not a lot of other people will know that. But the thing is, Morrissey has always been self-deprecating, but even though millions of people all over the world love him, he'll never accept that, I don't think. It's like
head down. I know that growing up at school, I definitely wasn't very popular at all. The very opposite.
I can't imagine why, Laura, because I've always thought you were like the nicest person ever, to be honest.
Well, that's not important when you're in high school, apparently. Apparently what's important is liking chart music and putting on too much makeup. So I never really fitted in. And so, yeah, when you get older and suddenly people like you for you because there's a bigger net of people. When you're in school, you see the same 100 people every day. And that's it. That is your world, I suppose. And when a lot of that world don't like you, it's very easy to think that the world doesn't like you. But then when you step out into the world and you've got everybody, and actually more do like you than don't, it's still hard when you've had sort of 18 years growing up of not really getting on with people to suddenly find that people do like you and that, there are people like you. So I suppose even Morrissey's probably struggled with that idea that, for a good 20 odd years before he formed the Smiths, he was very much on his own, and then suddenly there's all these people that adore him, and it's hard to get your head around.
It is hard to get your head around. Well, can I say, that's a fantastic choice, Laura. So thank you for your number 5 there. So coming in next, we've got Laura Beth's number 4. So what's the number 4 selection, Laura?
So before I say it, I would just explain that 1, 2, 3, 4, I decided to do like a Smiths Morrissey.
Okay,
So,
brilliant.
yeah, my 4th is Disappointed by Morrissey.
Another brilliant choice.
Oh, to be honest, if I say anything by Smiths or Morrissey, it's a brilliant choice.
Of course, yeah, but just for everybody else, I'm not just saying that, but I truly do think that song is a fantastic tune, to be fair. Truly Disappointed.
Truly disappointed. Truly. Yeah, I've chosen that, I think, specifically for the line, don't talk to me about people who are nice, because I've spent my whole life in ruins because of people that are nice.
Love
yeah,
that line, Laura.
love it, because, yeah, there's a lot of people I've met who, oh, but that person's really nice. They're such a nice person. And they're not really.
No.
And it can be really very nasty to you. And it doesn't matter what you tell people. You say, you know, this person's not nice at all. They won't believe you because that person's a nice person. Had a lot of that. And especially because growing up, I was brought up going to church. And there's a lot of people like that in church.
Absolutely. And just on the back of that, Laura, this is the last vlog I'll ever do. Well, hang on. I've changed my mind again. Hang on.
Good night and thank you.
There's a nice tie in there. Get to the end of the song. But no, I'm going to agree with you 1000% about your adage about nice people, because I found a lot of nice people have got another side. And I found out the hard way during the course of my 51 years on the planet. So that's a very poignant lyric, and it's a very fantastic choice. You've obviously put some thought into it, Laura, so thank you for doing that. So I'm now going to ramp it up to your number 3 choice, please, Laura.
So my number 3 choice is Paint a Vulgar Picture, The Smiths.
Paint a Vulgar Picture.
Yes, and I've gone with that because I think Morrissey, in his lyrics, very much highlights what the music industry's like, and obviously working in the media and doing PR for bands and stuff. A lot of what he says, it's very true. Even Morrissey himself does it, you know, reissue, repackage, add a tacky badge and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
And yeah, sadly, I think it's more and more what the music industry is becoming about. It's more about what's going to make you money rather than what sounds good and what's going to start a revolution. Because there was a time when music was chosen by the people. I suppose we don't really buy music anymore, which is a big factor. But you know, there was a time where even when I was young, where you'd hear a band and you think, oh, I need to go and buy their CD, and you go to the shop and you buy their CD. But you know, I've started teaching young people who, when I've talked about CDs, they've looked at me like I am some dinosaur that's just stomped
CDs, through. Laura, I used to go out and buy vinyl.
Exactly.
I used to, literally, I can remember one of my youngest memories, when I was about 14, 15, I had a job on a market, Bull Market, Saturday afternoon. I would work all day on a Saturday, 8 hours, and then after I'd finished the job, I'd literally run from the market store. It finished about 4:30, down to the local Trax record shop in Bulwell to buy some vinyl, and I literally got paid £5 for a day's work. This is going back to the 1980s, and then I'd spend the whole £5 on a vinyl record, on an album. And it wasn't just the music. It was a tactile experience. It's the smell of the vinyl, it's the feel of the vinyl, it's the look of the cover. the cover was as important, and especially with Smith's songs, the covers were nearly as important as the music. Because for those that don't realise, the Smiths tunes, every single had a cover star. So it was a tactile experience, and I'd take the album home, I would put it on the old record player and pop the needle onto the groove, hear the ticks and the hisses and the crackles of the old vinyl record. Then I put the cover up in front of me and lay back and enjoy the whole experience. And it was all encompassing. It wasn't just about the sound. But music these days, Laura, it's in the ether. It's up there somewhere.
It is, because it's not even downloads. Because obviously, when I got into sort of my teenage years, you know, I had an iPod and you download things onto your iPod, and it's not even that now. You know, it's streaming. So in some ways, it's good because there's obviously such a huge amount of music that's available to you, and there's so many times where someone will say, "Oh, you know, I'm in a band, listen to my song," and I can do that this second right now if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But then the opposite of that, where you know, a band that I'd really like, I could listen to their full album for free and not pay a single penny towards them. And, you know, as I say, there was definitely a time where, and there still is, you know, bands that I really love. I still buy their CDs because I'm old fashioned, but yeah, it's definitely not as much. And the times of, I suppose, hanging around the CD shops and buying CDs, and they're gone. And especially young people, they're gonna stream an album for free rather than go and buy it in the shop. So we're losing a big part of that culture.
Do you know, me and you, Laura, we like chatting we like two old women over the garden fence. You know, we're both. It might be CDs, you know, and vinyl, but it's still the same thing.
It is.
It's a tactile experience that we no longer have with the digitised world we live in.
I used to love it, and especially some of the CD shops, they used to do, I think it was 70p, and there was CDs that would like come without covers and things. You could go in and buy them for 70p. So I've got a lot of that. I think Libertines, I've got one of their albums with no cover.
What can you get for 70p these days, Laura?
70p, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Right, so where are we now? I think we're up to your number 2 choice, Laura Beth.
Yes. So number 2 is "The World Is Full of Crashing Bars," Morrissey again.
Another fantastic tune. That's from the "You Are the Quarry" album, I believe.
It is indeed. Yeah, I picked that because I think it goes back again to sort of talking about what we were saying with "I Don't Mind If You Forget Me." It's Morrissey questioning himself, and I think we've all done it, where he says, you know, the world's full of crashing bars, and I'm one as well. Because, you know, they're boring, they don't like me, but I find them boring, I don't like them, so we're all boring, everything's rubbish, what's the point? And then at the end, he says, the world's full of crashing bars, but I'm not one, because he's realised, actually, you know, they're boring, and they find me boring because they're boring, not because I'm boring. It's the opposite way around. And yeah, I've always identified with that, because it's always felt like sometimes you think, you know, am I the wrong one? Am I the odd one out? Am I the problem? And then you realise, actually, it's not me that's the problem. It's
everybody else, Laura.
Yeah. And you know, I feel sorry for people like that who can't be themselves and can't enjoy things because they're worried that other people are going to laugh at them or whatever. You know, I've always been very much, I do what I enjoy. And if you will come with me, if you're not, we'll part our ways.
Another fantastic choice, Laura. And that album was, I believe, is one of his best. You Are the Quarry.
I think they're all his best, but I think every Morrissey fan thinks that. To be honest, my sort of favourite is a more recent, and it's Low in High School. I really liked Low in High School. I thought it was a fantastic album.
It's like you say though, Laura, it is quite difficult to choose, because I tend to go at one time a particular album I'll listen to, and I think, oh, that's fantastic. It's like revisiting old albums like Kill Uncle, and you're thinking that was underrated, but then you listen to it, you think, well, that's fantastic, because you suddenly realise that there's something on there you didn't appreciate the first time you listened to it.
Yeah.
So I might say this week that You Are the Quarry is my favourite. Next week it'll be Vauxhall and I. And
Oh yeah, if you did an interview with me in a week, that top 5 would change probably.
So as I'm a little bit conscious of time, I'm going to now. Well, I'm going to ask you to reveal your number one choice, Laura. So Laura Beth's radio DJ Northern personality, Rochdale Extraordinaires, number one, Smiths and Morrissey tune is...
At number 1, it is There's a Light That Never Goes Out, the Smiths. Always classic.
Go on, Laura.
It's what made me fall in love with the Smiths. So whenever anyone asks me, because a big question I get asked because of my age is, oh, are your mum and dad into the Smiths? Because that's the obvious explanation. My mum and dad are now into the Smiths because of me. That's how that's gone. I remember, so I always used to have like a radio alarm clock growing up. And I remember, I think it was before school, and I woke up one day and This Charming Man by the Smiths was on. And I remember hearing the line, I would go out tonight, but I haven't got a stitch to wear, and thinking, that's brilliant. That is one of the best lines I've ever heard in music. That's incredible. And the DJ come on and went, that was the Smiths, next up, whatever. And I thought, oh, the Smiths. I'll have a listen to them. I'll see what they're about. And I remember going on to Spotify and looking for them. And I thought, oh, I don't know what this song's called. So I was looking at it and I was thinking, oh, I don't know what it's called. And I'm looking through, can't find it. And I thought maybe it's There's a Light That Never Goes Out. Maybe that's what it's called. So I clicked on that, and that was even better. And I was like, wow, I've heard 2 songs from this band and I am hooked. I'm in love. So for Christmas that year, I must have been about 16, I asked my mum for a Smiths album, and she bought me, like the double disc anthology one that's got everything on it.
Yeah.
And it's safe to say I've been hooked ever since then. But There's a Light, it's just completely, it's fantastic. It's beautiful, it's poignant, it's a bit humorous, a bit tongue-in-cheek at times, and I think
it's an anthem, Laura.
You don't, and it's usually always the last thing played at the Smiths disco.
Because it's an anthem.
So it's always it's got a special place in my heart. It's usually the last thing I hear before I know that I'm going to be coming back next month to hear it again.
It's an absolute anthem, and like I say, if you ask a lot of Smiths and Morrissey fans for their number one choice, they'd probably pick that tune as well, to be fair. But it's a nice link, because it brings me into speaking to you, Laura, today, which is, well, the pleasure, the privilege is mine, Laura.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. That was an absolute fantastic top 5, Laura. And thank you for taking the time to do that for me. I really appreciate it. Now, like I said, I'm conscious of time. There's so much more stuff I could talk to you about, Laura. So we're going to have a Laura Beth part 2 at some point in the future, I think. Because
people will be sick of the sight of me.
They'll be sick of the sight of us, Laura, they will. But as is normal with my vlogs, I normally get my guests to say hello to my mum. And my mum's name is Anne. And actually, I seen her yesterday for the first time in a year. So I was wondering if you'd just say hello to my mum, please, Laura, if that's okay.
I would absolutely love to. It'll be my pleasure. Hello, Anne. You've got a very lovely son. In fact, you've got 2 very lovely sons, because I've met them both at some point or another. You should be very proud of them both, because they are a joy and a pleasure to be around, and you've done a good job raising them.
Oh, do you know, that was absolutely fantastic, Laura. Honestly, thank you so much for talking today, Laura. It's been I genuinely has been a pleasure. So
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
excellent. So on to the next time. I'm going to say farewell for now until I speak to you again, Laura. So just thanks again.
Thank you so much and see you soon.